Panie, uprzejmie zapytujemy, kiedy pan minister opracuje normy zanieczyszczeń dla środowiska odnośnie zanieczyszczeń gazami?
Można wyciągnąć
Ustawa antydrogowa powstaje.
na 3 lata, tak jak pan
Ja powiedziałem, że
Could you please tell us what are your concerns?
Pierwszy problem to jest koncentracja przemysłu szkodliwego dla środowiska, a więc przemysłowe fermy tuczu, zakłady utylizacyjne.
Ja chcę czyste powietrze, żeby nie śmierdziało, żeby moja wnusia żyła w czystości, w czystym powietrzu, zdrowo.
I'm Tracy Worcester, and I've lived in the countryside most of my life. But whether it's in Britain or abroad, I've seen small family farms going bankrupt because of the arrival of giant factory farms. For years, I've campaigned against the destruction of rural livelihoods and to improve animal welfare. So these pigs have been foraging, getting rid of the bracken in a National Trust wood. This film is the story of my 4-year exploration into the global pig business. A journey which goes from the UK to the USA, South America and Poland. To find out where and how pork is produced, who wins and who loses. But you'll be lucky to find any of this information on the label. Thick pork sausages. But you can look everywhere on the packet. There is no indication where it comes from. Though you can buy high welfare pork in some UK supermarkets, if you want to pay less for your high welfare pork while paying your farmer a fair price and keeping your money in the local economy, it's best to go to your local farmer's market.
They know the quality of the product because we have a direct relationship with our customers. If they don't like what we sell them, they'll come back next week and tell us.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's marvelous. You should care.
For stallholder Mike King, the secret of producing top-quality pork lies in the humane treatment of his animals.
I think pigs, they're such intelligent, sort of inquisitive animals. They need to be active all day long, searching for roots and grubs and things like that. Whereas pigs in concrete boxes, they've got nothing to do all day long. They're totally bored. It's one of the reasons why I left that more intensive farming and decided to keep them like this.
The intensive farming Mike referred to was pioneered in America, and it's the way most supermarket pork is produced.
What we have, I think, is the application of industrial systems that were designed to build cars and build machines to living creatures.
It's infinitely cruel in my mind, and no civilized society, whatever civilized society means, ought to countenance it. Sows, for example, are subjected to confinement in a very narrow cage, so narrow they can't even turn around during gestation.
Workers in these installations cease to regard the animals even as alive, I think.
I believe such cruelty happens when pigs are seen not as animals, but as an industrial raw material. America's industrial pig farmers copied the chicken industry by cramming thousands of animals into a confined space. There are sometimes as many as 10,000 pigs in buildings like this, their waste dropping through a slatted floor. One of the workers I met told me what it was like working there.
Y trabaja uno 12 días y descansa 2. Pues lo que me ha afectado son los ojos y luego pues a veces quiere dar vómito. Eso es todo lo que a mí me ha pasado.
A pretty large percentage of the people working in these facilities, whether it's hogs or chickens, will come down with chronic sinus infections, asthma, bronchitis, and other respiratory diseases that are related to this mixture that they're breathing in.
It's the way they get rid of their waste that's really most problematic. The hogs dump their feces and urine on the floor. It goes under the hog house out to a lagoon. I mean, there are no beautiful women in bathing suits by any of these lagoons. But it goes out to the lagoon, and then they slop it on the fields. And then it runs off into these drain pipes they have underneath the fields. It runs off into the ditches, and it goes right down to our streams, creeks, and rivers. And it's full of nitrogen. It's basically untreated waste.
When it's spring, it just cuts your breath off. And you get like phlegm in your throat, your eyes start running, you know, and you just get a headache, you know, and you just really almost, I guess, just get angry because you can't breathe.
There are 10 million hogs in this small area, and see, those 10 million hogs are producing more fecal waste each and every day than 100 million people.
The first thing to realize when you're talking about the gases that come out of a big confined swine operation is that it's really a toxic brew, that there's so many volatile gases mixed in with dust, bacteria, and antibiotics, and they're all mixed together in a very, very complex mixture of some 300 or even 400 different substances. So that's what one is exposing a neighbor or a family or a child to.
During the 1990s, large-scale meat processors bought up livestock farms. This vertical integration allowed the corporations to control the whole process from farming and slaughtering to packaging. The factory farms were now the main buyers of pigs. And as the price paid for pigs fell, many small farmers went bust. One survivor was Paul Sobocinski.
They wanted to control the market, and they wanted to control about how livestock production was going to be raised, and they wanted to take more of the profits from production agriculture, take the profits the farmers made as independent producers and put them in their pocket. My tipping point, I think, was when I saw hogs go down to $8 a hundredweight in this country, worse than the Depression in the 1930s. And I saw that pain, I saw that happen to farmers, that I knew that we had to fight back, that we had to stand up, or they were just going to roll over and take democracy, our freedom.
Throughout the 1990s, small farmers in America campaigned against the growth of big farms.
Food has become a major profit-generating commodity and has spread onto a global playing field where food producers, workers, and consumers are reduced to pawns, manipulated by giant corporations. Why is it? When people are in bondage to their government, it is called tyranny. But when the oppressor is a multinational corporation, it is called efficiency.
Opposition from farmers and environmentalists to the growth of factory farming had some small victories. In 2001, North Carolina banned processors from buying livestock producers, and also banned new-build farms from installing the lagoon and spray system. Around this time, many agribusinesses started to look abroad. One such company was Smithfield Foods of America, the world's largest pig producer and processor, with annual sales of almost $12 billion. It processes 27 million pigs a year, employs over 52,000 people, and from its US base has expanded to 15 countries. And a country to which Smithfield turned their attention was Poland, destined to join the European Union, and a country where land and former state farms were relatively cheap, labor costs low, and regulations light. In Poland, Smithfield bought the former state-owned slaughterhouse, Animex, followed by 21 state farms. Its managing director explained why.
We are in the farming business because we want to make money on it, yeah? And we believe that this has a great future. First of all, we are by far the biggest farmers in Poland. Secondly, we believe that Poland is a great opportunity for let's say, a foothold to get into the European market.
In 2003, Robert Kennedy Jr., nephew of the former US president, went to Poland to warn them of what he saw as the dangers of industrial pig farming. In In 2001, he had filed a court case against Smithfield Foods, alleging that they'd broken environmental laws in North Carolina. He obtained a settlement in which Smithfield agreed to enhance environmental protections at 260 hog production facilities.
I feel the responsibility to come here and warn Poland that they're going to try to get away with something in Poland that people in the United States now recognize is a catastrophe.
The arrival of factory farming in Poland was controversial. The Polish Senate's Agricultural and Environmental Committee held a hearing to investigate it. They invited evidence from both Kennedy and from Smithfield.
Adopting the Polish system of production to meet these challenges requires capital inputs for the upgrade and modernization of both farms and plants.
20 years ago, there were 27,500 independent hog farmers in the state of North Carolina. Today, they've been completely replaced by 2,200 hog factories, 1,600 of them either owned or operated by Smithfield Foods. Smithfield controls 85% of the hog production in the state. And every factory that's built gets rid of 10 traditional family farmers and replaces those jobs with 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs to workers who work in the plants. These facilities sicken the people who live downwind. Neighbors complain that they can no longer hang their laundry or sit on their porch during the summertime or plow their fields without becoming sick. There's now a moratorium on the construction of hog lagoons in the state of North Carolina. So here is a company that is coming to Poland and promising to modernize agriculture in Poland with a system that has been banned in the place where it was invented.
Some of Kennedy's concerns seemed justified. In the same year he visited Poland, a government report was published which showed that all 14 Smithfield farms inspected had violated some regulations, either environmental, construction, health, or veterinary. These included failings in the disposal of their waste, failure to look after their employees' health and safety, and the improper storage of dead animals.
As in all companies in the world, we are making mistakes, but we are not, we are correcting the mistakes as soon as we make them. We are following all the Polish and EU regulations for farming, so we are not doing any additional pollution. On the contrary, we are really trying to protect it.
In 2004, I decided to go to Poland to see the impact of the new foreign factory farms and the lagoon and spray system on the Polish environment, rural life, and the quality of its food, which was destined for consumers all over Europe. I started in northwest Pomerania, where there are a large number of farms that used to be owned by the Polish state. The first state farm that Smithfield's Polish company Prima bought in 2001 was Boszkowo, which by 2004 housed 17,000 pigs. My guide, Marek Kreider, of the Polish Animal Welfare Institute, introduced me to one of the local residents. For many years before Smithfield arrived, they'd been complaining about their local groundwater, believing it to be contaminated.
Sam zacząłem chorować, między innymi zacząłem chorować po spożyciu wody.
Could you tell me what specifically is the illnesses that people are getting around here?
No, z tego co ja wiem, no to są to przede wszystkim ze strony przewodu pokarmowego, żołądek, poza tym jakieś zmiany na skórze.
Also near Boszkowo, I heard locals' claims of what had happened to children who had swum in the nearby lake.
No takie normalnie po prostu takie jako odrzucenie czy coś takiego. Czerwone się robi, bo nic drapie cię i to po prostu...
Red skin, they got red skin.
Nie ma tak jak było powiedzmy nawet 2 lata temu, gdzie się łowiło ryby i było zielsko, tak w tej chwili nie ma. Ryby nie tak. Ona dosłownie dzień leży. Za 2 godziny ona już jest nie do brania. Ona się po prostu rozchodzi. Śmierć.
Here, another former state farm has been converted into a giant hog factory with 20,000 pigs on the fringes of a village.
Każdy, kto przyjedzie, to się pyta, jak wy tu mieszkacie.
To ja po chemii tak nie zwracam, jak ja teraz po tych zapachach zwracam.
Okay.
By now, I wanted to see inside one of the factory farms. One person and no camera. Okay, why don't you want the camera there? I'd like her to follow and take a picture of the pigs inside the ventilation shaft.
You from there, will you?
Yeah, quickly before anybody comes. Unable to get an authorized picture of conditions inside any of Smithfield's Polish farms, a broken air vent was an inviting opportunity. These intelligent animals are deprived of exercise, straw bedding, and the rooting that is vital to their well-being. I think we should skedaddle. Shall I run with that? Where? Well, we don't want them to take our camera. Let's go. Let's leave. Though I wasn't able to film inside a factory farm, after a tip-off, in 2005, an undercover team from Compassion in World Farming filmed at a Smithfield farm, showing what was in the stinking cesspit they called a lagoon.
Is there a bigger stick? Take them out.
Smithfield responded to these pictures by saying it was physically impossible for dead pigs to get into the lagoon, and they would never tolerate disposing of them in this way. And they also claim that local officials, after an investigation, concluded that the pigs found did not come from their farm. Later in the same year, another team from Compassion in World Farming managed to get inside one of Smithfield's farms at the village of Wiskowice. Pigs in factory farms are usually raised on bare slats, but even on straw they don't look healthy.
Some really lame ones in there as well.
I asked Smithfield about these pictures, and they said that their pigs' health and welfare are their top priorities, and their Polish farms either conform to or exceed EU regulations. Although I've asked them twice, with regard to these particular pictures, they say that the allegations and the events described are absolutely false. The next year, 2006, I was back in Wiskowice, after I heard about a campaign by local people against the pig farm, which is right next to the village primary school. In North Carolina, you couldn't put 250 pigs within 750 meters of a school. But here, there are 12,000 pigs.
Szkoła jest oddalona od fermy około 150 do 200 metrów i najbliższym jest obiektem właśnie od tej fermy. I te dzieci często właśnie miały jakieś katary, jakieś łzawienie ucz, jakieś choroby alergiczne nawet.
Jak zaczęły się żniwa, to nie mogliśmy otwierać okien i wychodzić na przerwy. Wszyscy się źle czuli, jak wracali do domu.
A study of the impact of the odours from Wiskowice farm was made by Dr. Hallett, an epidemiologist who'd been Deputy Minister of Health and Chief Sanitary Inspector in 3 separate governments.
We found that those who live in closer distance from this meat factory suffer more from headaches, from sneezing, from stuffed nose, from running eyes, burning eyes, from neurological, respiratory and intestinal diseases, just because of being so much exposed to the noxious gases.
Every time I went to Poland, I was struck by its natural beauty. It's home to 200 species of birds that are rare or extinct in the rest of Western Europe, including 40,000 pairs of white storks that nest as cherished residents of Polish villages. It has the only sizable virgin temperate forest left in Europe, and the last herds of wild bison. Its rivers are still free-flowing and unpolluted. This is a tourist area famous for its crystal-clear lakes. However, This is where there is a huge concentration of pig factories.
We don't need such a companies. Tourism is the basic business for people who live here to earn money.
I know our people are supporting me. The direction that we are planning and we want to go our development is tourism together with small agriculture. This is the way that people could achieve economical independence.
If the experts are worried about pollution and the exploitation of the Earth's resources, shouldn't we be learning from Poland's traditional family farms and so protect them?
It works, it's adequate for this number of hectares and for the number of people, and it doesn't use a lot of energy, and it doesn't therefore contribute to the greenhouse effect. And as oil becomes more and more expensive, you'll surely find that this kind of farming is going to be more attractive and more economic, for that matter.
Alicia Samley's farm has been in her family for generations.
Nasza produkcja świń nie będzie się opłacała, dlatego że powstawają duże fermy i one produkują bardzo dużo świń. W krótkim czasie mają pasze z różnymi dodatkami, dlatego świnie rosną krótko, nasze rosną pół roku i dlatego nie będzie się opłacać. Jak będą ceny spadać coraz niżej, to produkcja w ogóle nie będzie opłacalna. To właśnie się nie podoba, bo duże gospodarstwa mają im więcej hektarów, tym więcej dopłat.
Czyli te ceny nagle spadły na żywiec, nie?
Do stopnia, że nikt krowy nie chowa ani świnie, a pole stoi utłoczone. Takie teraz rząd. To jeszcze my, to jeszcze, ale teraz te nasze dzieci, to nie wiem co będzie. Roboty nie ma nigdzie.
No job.
Wszystko bezrobocie i te dzieci chodzą, muszą kraść. No, wszystko chodzi i roboty nie ma nigdzie. Zapowiada się taka bieda, że będzie złodziej na złodziejuje.
This transformation of Polish agriculture and life is being partly financed by the taxpayers of Europe. Smithfield is just one of the food multinationals who've received the backing of the public purse.
Smithfield benefited from a $100 million loan that was organized by the European Bank for Reconstruction Development. This is taxpayers' money that's being applied to the expansion of Smithfield.
We have a mandate, and this mandate is to promote transition in the former communist countries. We are not driven only by financial profit, but because we are driven by trying to set the way, basically trying to have a catalyst effect. And in that way, bring along with us then the private banks.
The whole mission of the European Bank has been to industrialize Central and Eastern European agriculture. No question about that, and that has the effect of pushing out small farmers and independent farmers, and also the effect of opening it up to takeover by foreign corporations.
I moim zdaniem to jest również przejaw pewnej nieuczciwej konkurencji w stosunkach międzynarodowych. Polscy rolnicy produkujący żywność znacznie wyższej jakości, lepsze, mają o wiele większe problemy i trudności z dostępem do łatwych, tanich kredytów na rozwój swoich gospodarstw, czyli tu konkurencja nie jest równoprawna. Śmiem twierdzić, że ta konkurencja jest konkurencją zaburzoną.
Polish agriculture at the moment is not productive enough. Small farms are too small to be competitive. I think Poland wants and will have to be competitive on the world market, and for that they will have to actually continue improving productivity. That will be over time, at the expense of smaller farms.
A lot of the European officials are saying that the Polish farmers are too small. They've only got 18 hectares. What's too small about that?
They want to sweep them aside so larger operators can take over, and everything will be eventually owned by the corporations, I think.
And what do you think will happen to Poland as a result of that?
If Poland's family farmers are exterminated, as it were,
it will destroy Poland's culture and, as far as that goes, its soul.
We have a vision, sure, for the future of European farming, and we know that in order to be competitive with less subsidy, farms are going to have to be closer to the market and, frankly, bigger. I mean, in Britain and Denmark, the farms are generally fairly large. In countries like Poland, where the farms are still very small, there is a big restructuring that will have to happen. That is happening because of the type of subsidies we're paying.
So this taxpayer-funded restructuring and modernisation effectively means the end to family farming, which produces good animal husbandry, good quality food, satisfying work, and protects the environment. Unlike Galicia's homegrown food, industrial farming demands an industrial-scale production of animal feed.
You have to be competitive, and I don't think you can really be competitive on a small farm producing your local feed in a way your grandfather has been doing, and still being able to produce it in a competitive way to the big companies like ours.
Cargill is one of the world's biggest suppliers of pig feed, one of the main ingredients of which is soya, and much of this comes from South America, including the Amazon rainforest. Here, as in Poland, small farmers pay the price of industrialization, provoking widespread protest.
Pois isso dá uma tristeza muito grande na gente, por saber que tudo aquilo que a gente gosta de conviver, para dizer até amar é uma palavra muito mais profunda, né? Mas que a gente gosta de conviver está sendo destruído, menos para ajudar um outro povo, mais para dar comida para bicho.
Que este povo ele seja solidário a nós e que dê basta nesse consumo dos produtos que são oriundos da Amazônia, principalmente soja.
In 2006, following pressure from their customers in Europe and Greenpeace, Cargill and other key traders agreed not to purchase soya from newly deforested areas in the Amazon. But there's still over 1 million hectares of soya grown in the Amazon, depriving local people of land and exposing animal and plant life to pesticides. Back in Poland, Boleslaw explained how powerless he felt in the face of the advance of giant foreign pig factories.
My nie mamy żadnego wpływu na to, że ta firma nam szkodzi. Nawet na dobrą sprawę nie mamy gdzie się poskarżyć, że ta firma robi nam krzywdę. No, a to wynika tylko z tego, że ta firma jest duża, że jest ogromna. Gdyby ona była mniejsza, pewnie jej wpływy byłyby mniejsze. Właśnie to bardzo dobrze to powiedział. To jest ta ogromna korporacja, która gdzieś tam przyjechała. Dla nas to jest dosłownie, to jest inwazja. No. To jest pająk, który siedzi na całej kuli ziemskiej. Widać, w jaki sposób, czym jest ta globalizacja. To jest coś ogromnego, które wysysa soki z tej ziemi, z ludzi. To jest taki ogromny pająk, pasożyt taki, który żeruje tutaj na nas.
In 2008, Polish farmers were on the streets again.
Będziemy żądali zamknięcia tych dużych ferm w Polsce, no i tego dzikiego importu.
Oczywiście dzisiaj największym problemem w produkcji trzody chlewnej jest największa korporacja na świecie, jaką jest Smithfield, który przejął polski Animex w roku 99.
30% niżej cen kosztów produkcji dostajemy teraz. Czyli dokładamy z własnych kieszeni, żeby sprzedać, żeby utrzymać nasze rodziny, to musimy, nie wiem skąd, teraz musimy chyba jechać do Anglii albo do Irlandii, zarabiać, wszystko pozamykać.
Nie wiem, czy pójdę na emeryturę, czy się powieszę, czy co zrobię, czy wyjadę.
So-called cheap meat from factory farms has flooded every market in the EU. And Smithfield has ambitious distribution plans for the UK. In 2008, its webpage, using a bit of artistic license with a pig on grass, announced their aim to dominate, or in their own words, to be the preferred supplier to the UK retail trade and food service industry. To you and me, that's restaurants, schools, prisons, hospitals, etc. So I went to America to check out what Britain's supermarkets could look like.
Smithfield.
Smithfield, Smithfield, loads and loads and loads of Smithfield food dominating the pork section.
This is the Walmartization and commoditization of every product. Smithfield is producing these uniform cuts, which is what, Walmart wants it to do. And in the meantime, they're homogenizing and they're diminishing quality of life for everybody in this country. And I don't think it's good for America. It's not good for our food supply. It's not good for our food security.
I wanted to ask Smithfield about their controversial lagoon and spray system, about their domination of rural economies, and their influence on politicians.
Tracy was there. Hi, Dennis Tracy. How are you? Okay. Welcome to Smithfield. Let me tell you, I really appreciate you all coming here and talking to us. I mean, I know that you may not agree with what we do, but we really take pride in what we think we're doing, and I appreciate you giving us the shot to at least talk to you about it.
If you've got 10 million pigs, and the research that I did, and you could question this, but that they defecate 10 times more than a human being, you've got the equivalent of 100 million people defecating every day in a very small area. Surely we've got to understand that there's going to be a hell of a lot of people who are suffering from the stench, and whose fishing and whose swimming in the rivers is going to be jeopardized by that system.
The system is operated in a way that is not supposed to allow that. As far as things running off into the water, if that happens, that's against the law and it's wrong. Over-applying this material to the field is against the law. Having it drift onto somebody's property is against the law. We go out of our way and go to extraordinary lengths to make sure that we have a system in place that doesn't allow that.
There is a conflict between the needs of companies like Smithfield to make a profit and the needs of the community.
My feeling is if the big industrial producers, gosh, there's a whole bunch of them. I think Smithfield's the largest. But if all of these big guys who have industrialized this practice were made to pay the full cost of environmental protection and disposing of their waste, any family farmer in America, any family farmer in this world, I think, could outcompete them at the marketplace.
The destruction of the small farm wasn't casual, it's systematic. It is the intention, it's the way that they make money, it's the design of this industry. Once a company owns both the slaughterhouse and some of the farms, it destroys the capacity of the farmers to organize and to form those cooperatives. And ultimately, it's the end of the independence of farmers. And they're no longer what we call farmers in this country, they're what they call serfs in Europe. They are no longer in control of their own lives.
Smithfield is one of the biggest food companies in America, and like many big companies, is a regular contributor to politicians in the states where it operates. You said that you're not trying to interfere with politics, and yet you seem to give a lot of money to politicians who support your position, and they've changed the law to suit the pig industry's position.
Political contributions are not common. They are the way of life in American government. It's part of the American system, which is know your representative, make sure your representative knows not only you and your family, but your company and your business, so that as they make decisions, they're aware of the impact of the decisions they're making may have on that company or that community or that person. I think it would be I think if you ask any politician here whether they have been purchased by Smithfield Foods, their answer would be no.
The arrival of corporate power in agriculture in the UK has pushed farmers off the land and onto the streets. In 2008, pig farmers from across the country besieged Downing Street.
We already know in this country we've lost 40% of the herd in the last 10 years. And I think if this continues and we don't get support, particularly from the supermarkets, then we're going to see another drop of equal proportions, maybe more. As our production's gone down, imports have gone up. And we know from all the work that we've done that 70% of those imports would be illegal to produce in the UK on the grounds of animal welfare.
In most EU countries, it's legal to keep pregnant sows permanently in stalls like these, although they've been banned in the UK.
How can they possibly sanction
pork to come into this country reared on lesser welfare standards than they force us to do. How can that be right?
Soon after this demonstration, new and disturbing reports appeared. People could be in danger of getting the pig strain of MRSA, a bacterium which is resistant to antibiotics, similar to the human strain that kills several thousand people in British hospitals every year. The alleged culprit? The factory farming system, as farmer Richard Young explained.
One of the big weaknesses of the system is a heavy dependence on antibiotics and the fact that that causes infections which can spread from animals to humans, such as Salmonella, E-coli, Campylobacter, and even MRSA. And in the Netherlands, for example, where the most research has been undertaken, 40% of their pigs are carrying a strain of MRSA that can pass to humans. It's been spread rapidly on the pig farms because the antibiotics that are being put in the pig feed are actually selecting for it. That means they kill off the other bacteria which might provide some natural competition, but they don't kill off the MRSA because the MRSA is resistant. Meat, which may appear very cheap, is in fact very, very expensive, and in some cases that could be at the cost of our own lives.
We haven't had a new type of antibiotic, a new class of antibiotics for more than a decade now, and it's very difficult to see that we're going to find new antibiotics that would have the same effect as ones that we've had in the past, such as penicillin, which has saved millions of lives down the years. There just isn't that level of research into finding new agents. So I think we have to be more careful with the ones that we have now and how we're forcing the evolution of these strains, such as these MRSA strains, to become increasingly resistant to the antibiotics that we have, because there won't be anything left in the cupboard in a few decades down the line, which may really point to a less intensified system of farming where body mass increases are not the prime driver. It's not all economics, and we are having a long view in terms of human health.
The consumer ultimately has the power. They can say whether they buy cheap pork, that they don't care where it's produced or how it's produced or the quality of it. Ultimately, if the consumer refuses to buy that and prefers to buy meat which is a high welfare standard, produced in an environmentally sensitive way, then we'll be onto a winner, you know.
I would prefer that our food policies are decided locally, but unfortunately they're not even decided nationally. They're decided in the European Parliament here by our MEPs. But it is possible to change our food system by informed consumer choices and by supporting the politicians who are looking for more local production for local consumption. One such MEP is José Bové, once a farmer himself and spokesman for Via Campesina, which represents 150 small-scale farmers' organisations from 70 countries. He's now battling for farmers' rights in the European Parliament.
Qu'on stoppe la concentration et qu'on intègre à la fois le bien-être animal, la question de la santé et la question environnementale à l'intérieur de ce système de production. Si cela est intégré dans le système de production, ce type d'ateliers gigantesques industriels ne pourront pas continuer. Donc il faudra interdire de manière claire l'élevage industriel concentrationnaire à l'intérieur de l'Europe.
Part of the puzzle is that people buy locally. That is a very potent form of activism, to say to the Walmarts of the world, we're not going to buy from you. We're going to buy in the local farmers market. You also need to sue the polluters. You need to demand your government enforce the law against them. You need to pass legislation that makes it very clear that they can't come into your communities and displace, you know, the traditions and the values that your country holds dear. And all of us, you know, we had an American Revolution in this country to create democracy. We need a new American Revolution in this country now to fight against the corporate feudalism that we are now dealing with, that is embodied so much by this industry, that is eroding everything and subverting everything that we care about in our democracy.